welcome to Catch Outdoors. I'm your host, Captain Rob Modies. This podcast is about living and playing in the Florida Keys. I cover my favorite sport, fishing, but also all the many things to see and do down here in the islands. Thank you so much for tuning in, and now it's time to kick back and relax with me in the Keys. This week's episode of Catch Outdoors is number 169. Merry Christmas, everyone. Catch Outdoors brought to you by Spotify and me. The title for this week's episode is Last Minute Shopping, because it's getting down to that. That's what I'll be doing today. But more about that in a little bit. Let's see. I'm recording on a Monday. Hoping to go fishing again on Wednesday. I was hoping to go fishing yesterday, but that didn't work out, and it certainly didn't work today. Weather is an issue once again. Yep. Christmas Eve is now only 1 week away from today's podcast date. Boy, that went fast, didn't it? Better get on it. It's time to secure the food if you're going to do a Christmas dinner feast. We got our turkey getting out of the freezer shortly. Yeah. We didn't do a turkey here at the house. We went to guest house for our Thanksgiving, and so we thought we'll get one and do it here. I don't know if you missed out on it or not, but back when, it's about 4 weeks ago, no, about 8 weeks ago, Publix, good old Publix, had turkeys on sale for 49 cents a pound. Yeah, baby. You get a big one that way for not a lot of money. Winds are up and have stayed up over the past week. We had multiple fronts come through, but with only one very cool day. Only one day. So the temps have stayed in the 70s, mostly day and night. However, it's not much good for those folks that would like to work on their tans around the pool or hang out at the pool bar, the cabana. Nope, not much. Broken skies, though, were the rule, with quite a bit of rain late yesterday. That would have been Sunday into the nighttime hours, and also rain on Saturday. It was pretty crazy. We haven't had any rain for over, I think someone said 35 days, 36 days. Everything was getting very dusty and very dry, and then all of a sudden we got a whole bunch of it. So, which is good. Not going to complain about getting some rain. Small craft advisors are out for all of the Keys through Monday. There may be some slackening of winds late Tuesday with another cold front at our doorstep on Thursday. So if there's any hope of me getting out there, it'll probably happen on Wednesday. We'll see how it goes, or very early on Thursday, depending on the timing of the front arrival. I like fishing in front of the front. If I can get out there before it hits, we usually wind up with the winds reversing and it slows way down. Like maybe 5 miles an hour, and it makes for some really good fishing. Unfortunately, all this wind is going to really muck up the water pretty bad, but I don't care as long as I get out there. So the good news, we aren't shoveling snow, right? So we aren't freezing our butts off down here. That's for sure. It's been temperatures have been real pleasant and a little cooler than normal, as the weather person said today on TV. Tides are really good for fishing right now, if you can get out there. There was a full moon on Saturday, and so the good tides should continue all the way through another, say, 5 days or so before it starts to change up a bit. Very, very low. When the tides are low, we're near negative lows, which is unusual for here in the Keys. Happens a lot when I fished on the west coast of Florida, but it's happening here too. So crazy low tides and a lot of water flooding in. So that's good for fishing. Like I said, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Red tide report for the past week for the waters around the Florida Keys. None was observed. Christmas shopping is complete for my out of town folks. That would be everybody in my family. I did the Amazon thing once again. Honestly, it's much more economical from a shipping standpoint. It has gotten to the point where U.S. Postal and or UPS and or FedEx, the cost has gone up quite a bit to ship. And a lot of times it can cost almost as much as the gift I bought. I'm just like, golly, especially if you put 2 or 3 things in a box and the weight goes up. But the thing about being a Prime member at Amazon, I'm a member, and the shipping's free. So, yay. Locally, I'll buy stuff though. I'm going Christmas shopping probably later today. Going out and doing the Janelle shopping. So do the road trip this week down toward Islamorada. I love shopping in Islamorada. There's lots of great places to visit. Good places up here too. So I'll hit a bunch of places on the way and just see what I see and try to get her stuff all done today if I can. But I do enjoy visiting the mini shops here and there. You never know what you're going to see. The gift shops are fun. They're touristy, but they're still fun. There's a lot of great stuff in them to pique my interest. So, years ago, I used to do the mall thing. I'm sure a lot of you did, depending on your age, of course. But in my age, the mall was a huge thing. Food courts and mall and shopping, and it was usually anchored by 2 or 3 really big stores on the ends of the mall. And that was a Christmas event for me. As a matter of fact, years ago, I used to do Christmas Eve. For local folks, I would go out on Christmas Eve and shop because it was crazy and there were discounts and it was just, I don't know, it was fun. It was nuts. And everything, of course, used to close at like 4 or 5 o'clock on Christmas Eve. So you were pressed, to get it done. Not anymore, man. No, I don't do that. And there's very few malls to do it with anymore anyway. So, and the malls changed. They're no longer inside food court things. Now they're mostly outdoor. The last 2 that I really remember going to a lot were both in Fort Myers, and they were both big time outside malls. So, which we can get away with down here in the winter because it doesn't get real cold. So, Books make great gifts, so check out mine at catchaoutdoors.com. Yep, there's a special pricing right now, and if you order real soon, I might be able to get it to you before Christmas. Like, you'd have to order it today. If you're listening on Tuesday or Wednesday at the latest, just to get it out on time. Do my best. Might arrive after the date, but I got a lot of decent books in there, and all of them are discounted right now online, so check it out. I got this surprise note about one of my songs via TuneCore. That's my distributor that distributes my music. And the 2024 numbers came in. And they were a whole lot bigger than I thought they'd be. I'll be honest with you. I'm happy, to say the least. My number 1 song via downloads was Guiding Light, which surprised me. I honestly, that's my favorite song. It's a new song. It was not one of the songs that I wrote back in the 90s, so it was one of my more modern songs, of which I have several now. And I was real proud of that song. That was Guiding Light's about the Alligator Lighthouse and the restoration of it. A large group has gotten together and started to fund money into restoring that lighthouse. For those of you that don't know, the Coast Guard no longer covers the lighthouses across Florida, the Keys waters, and they've gone into disrepair, or they've been offered for sale, and somebody will buy them and restore them. And that's basically what happened to Alligator Light. And we went to a big function a couple of years ago. There was a money raising function out there, and I don't know. I just, on the way home, this whole notion hit me about writing a song about it, about alligator, because I've spent a great deal of time snorkeling and fishing around it, many years, way back into the 90s, and it just seemed a shame that thing was going away. And so I wrote this song. So anyway, Guiding Light, it was the number 1. Number 2 was Bayou Bay. That did not surprise me. I kind of thought that'd be the number 1 downloaded song, but it was actually Guiding Light, so that's kind of cool. And I'm glad folks are enjoying it. I really am. More new music is coming. We're in Mixdown right now on 2, and then we have a 3rd one we're working on. So Billy got busy. Tis the season, as I like to say, so it's been hard to even get the Mixdowns done, but hopefully it'll happen soon. Let's see, what else is on my notes here? Oh, we had a really fun time Saturday night. We did the annual Christmas party at the Safe Harbor Marina down in Islamorada. Membership has its advantages. Good food, good drinks, live music, along with an auction and giveaways that support the Bonefish Tarpon Trust. Came away with a new fly rod. Yeah, how about that? And a big batch of backcountry Keys-oriented flies, which I'm real excited about. And I'll talk more about that in just a minute. Real nice, and I can't wait to try them where I've been fishing. These flies are actually oriented toward the Florida Keys, so I was like, ooh, that's nice. And Janelle got a nice pair of fishing sunglasses. But for the life of me, I can't remember what the brand was. Maybe I'll follow up next week. It was good to do the meet and greet thing with many of the other members and also reminisce with some of them about the old Matacumbe Marina, which is where Jonelle and I started our Keys fishing careers, if you will, or actually adventures is a better word. I was surprised by how many people there remember the place as it was years ago, which is really fun just chatting, including the band. The band was the Carousers, which is in a way connected with Billy. The Carousers play often at the Lorelei, and the lead singer is Jimmy Lazar, and Jimmy and I sat down, and I'd say Jimmy's probably, I can only guess now, close to my age. So he's got that same, memory of the Keys and as it were and as it was kind of thing. So we chatted about songs and singing and during one of the breaks, and it was really cool. They're a great cover band. They do fantastic. They have originals too, but they do a lot of Petty and Allman Brothers and Southern rock bands and things like that, and they're really good. If you're lucky enough to be in the Keys and you see the Carousers on the schedule of one of our local pub bars, beach bars, and by all means go. As a matter of fact, they're playing tonight at the Lorelei of all bands. It's like I was just looking at the Lorelei schedule and went, oh no, the Carousers are there tonight, as a matter of fact, on Monday. So that was kind of fun. And they talked about doing some of my songs. So I'd love it if Jimmy does that. I'll hook up with Billy and let him know that, and we'll see what happens. It's fun to go out to a bar and hear your song played. I guess it's kind of like the old days when they play your song on the radio and you go, oh my God, it's on the radio. Holy cow. As we move towards the end of the year, it's a time when I'll be renewing my memberships in the groups that I believe will help the most with environmental causes. I mentioned that this big party we went to was to sponsor Bonefish Tarpon Trust, which I am a member of. I only do one cancer one. I do St. Jude's Hospital for the kids. That thing, I've researched all the cancer stuff, and there's tons of them. Once you donate to one, you get bombarded. But St. Jude's is really different in the way that the kids are treated and the way that the family of the kids are treated. I think that's the most important thing. Usually when somebody's got cancer, everyone else is kind of on the outside of the bubble, and they have to fend for themselves when it comes to finding a place to stay and visitation and all that kind of stuff. And that's not how St. Jude's works. And so I've long followed it. Ever since I got cancer, I've donated money to them every year. And I just think it's a really great organization for the family needs of a child that's really, really unintentionally sick. And that really sucks. Cancer for children sucks, I think, worse than anything. On the environmental front, there are many, many choices. But I have long donated to only 3. BTT, Bonefish Tarpon Trust, absolutely. Their research work is fabulous. Obviously they're trying to protect species and things, but their research on bonefish tarpon and other species has been really good. They've also been instrumental in working on this weird twisting disease that was happening down here, where the spinning disease, where fish were spinning and some survived and some died, and it directly affected the sawfish, which is probably it is the rarest fish probably in Southwest Florida down through the Keys, and almost extinct. And they worked several groups all around the U.S. to study what was wrong with these fish and come up with a solution. And I'm all for that. If you know me, you know I'm the sciencey guy, and I really like the science. And I'm glad that they were able to work hard on that and try to get things done. Captains for Clean Water, been involved with them from the get-go and donated them often. And buy shirts and hats and all the things that they typically sell. Although it's just easier to donate money that doesn't cost them anything. Right now they got a big boat giveaway. If you want a really nice flat skiff, man, you better check it and get your raffle ticket from them. They're based out of Fort Myers, and the 2 guys that run the thing are old friends of mine and captains that I'm aware of and know of, and so I kind of got to go with that. For all the reasons, really, not just the fact that I know somebody there. I know that the money's being spent well, and I know they work very, very hard to make sure that the state government and the federal government doesn't reverse decisions that they've made on moving the water south instead of sending it over to Fort Myers and east on the East Coast, where it does a lot of damage. And so Big Sugar, people, they control things, and you have to keep an eye on them and a thumb on them. Last but not least, CCA, Coastal Conservation Association. Again, I've been involved with them for a long time, all the way back to my radio days. They used to do well, they still do, have a fantastic, I call it the party in March in Fort Myers. But, the CCA banquets are well known for lots of goodies that are being auctioned off, a lot of fun, really nice dinners. It's just a good time. And I have joined the one down here in the Keys now. Janelle and I went last year and had a ball, and of course we'll go again this year. So I support CCA wholeheartedly. They work hard on conservation laws in a way that I guess the best way to put CCA is they are conscious of the need to protect the fish, but they also want to protect the fisher person, the fishermen and fisher ladies out there. They don't want areas cut off completely with fishing. Catch and release is good, not a problem, but areas down here especially, they're starting to cut off areas completely from fishing, and that's something they try to protect against. They want us to be able to fish in certain areas when we can. We don't want it to go away. It's great sport. Let's see what else. So those are the three: Bonefish Tarpon Trust, Captains for Clean Water, and CCA. I do it in this time of year, in the New Year's, when I usually rejoin, and Christmas present to them and to myself. So, but please donate if you can. If you fish or hunt, it's imperative that you support groups like this, the ones that support you. At the same time, support the continuance of being able to do what you love to do. Don't forget that. Fishing news. No, I didn't get to go this past week. Damn weather. I did get busy too. There's some crazy, it's the season. But yes, again, the weather is what I'm going to point to it the most, because it just did its thing again. But I did finish the video I promised last week. I put together a video of my most recent trip in the backcountry. I took a lot of video, took a lot of stills, with determination, thinking, I haven't done this in a long time. I've promised it before and didn't get to it. And now's the time. So, and I'm going to try to do this much more often. I've uploaded it onto Vimeo. If you're familiar with that, that's Vimeo, Vimeo. And also to YouTube. Vimeo has got the most beautiful rendition when it plays back. Their color and quality is far superior to most other streaming outlets. And so that's why I've been a Vimeo member for quite some time for my videos. And of course, YouTube covers everything. It has my music, my podcast, and of course my channel on there. So it's called Backcountry Fishing, ENP Keys, so Everglades National Park Keys, but I use the initials to shorten the title. You can search it on either location. Just use my name, Modys. It's MODYS is unique. Most people can't pronounce it, but it's good and unique, and it's great for searching because it'll pop up. I mean, there's me, my brother, and my two nephews. That's it now with that last name. So in the vein of fishing, I have a few FWC announcements. Let's see here. What did I do with those pages? Here they are. FWC Gulf Greater Amberjack recreational season to open September 1 through October the 31st each year. So they've changed it again. So the new season will be September 1 through October the 31st, in case you're wondering. Amberjack. Let's see what else I got here. FWC approves rule changes for Atlantic gag and black grouper recreational harvest. At its December meeting, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission approved a rule to modify recreational regulations for gag and black grouper to be consistent with current and pending regulations in adjacent Atlantic federal waters. The recreational management changes for gag and black grouper will include Monroe County. Establishing a combined 2-fish recreational vessel limit, prohibiting for hire captain and crew bag limit retention, so the crew can no longer keep a grouper. I can't believe it took them that long to do that in some waters. But anyway, they did that with snook and a lot of other fish ages ago, but it took them a while to get on the grouper bandwagon, I guess. So there you go. So keep your eye out for this. There are changes. You want to look it up. If you're a big grouper fisherman, you definitely want to get online and check out what they did. And this was a weird one. FWC closes recreational lane snapper harvest in the Gulf state waters. Let's see, starting December the 13th, so it's already happened. Harvest will remain closed through December 31st. how many days or whatever the day, 31st, will reopen on January 1, 2025, consistent with the closure in adjacent Gulf federal waters. It's very confusing. Basically, for the rest of the month of December, it's closed. They cite overfishing. I don't know anybody that overfishes Lane, but I guess it's got to be commercial is what it is. Commercial generally messes up fishing for recreational people. And it sounds to me like that's what it's about, but it kind of stunned me when I saw that headline, because Lane is something that you pretty much pick up regularly out there in the Gulf of Mexico, and it's just weird that they ran with a closure. Let's see. I do what most anglers do when fishing is impossible. And this next week or so, it'll be hard for getting out there again. There's another cold front coming. Are you kidding? Not just because of weather, though, but the holidays, they do get in the way, too. I want to say that. It's family time. Certain members of the family don't fish. They expect those of us that do to participate in the holiday stuff. You must, you should, which is cool. Don't worry, it'll be January soon. It's back on the water for lots of guys and gals at that point. Oh, you almost forgot to mention the first full day of winter begins on Saturday, December the 21st at 4:30 in the morning, Eastern Daylight Time. It's easy to overlook, and I saw it on the news today. One of the weather people goes, "Oh, by the way, first day." I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're right." That is the shortest day of the year, by the way. Shortest daylight of the year, I should say. But it's easy for us to overlook down here. We really don't have winter. I mean, we really don't. The only obvious thing is it's cooler than summer, but still mostly in the 70s every day and mostly sunny with sunshine and very little rain, which was true up until about 3 days ago. But that's going away. Once this front passes through on Thursday, it'll get all sunny and bright and beautiful again. So anyway, back to my original thought. Anglers, when they can't fish, are usually messing with tackle and the like, cleaning up that stuff, organizing. I did the fly sort this past couple of days because I mentioned on the podcast several weeks back, or it might even be a couple months ago, when the wind was really bad in the summertime, I cleaned up all my tackle and stuff in the tackle boxes. Well, I didn't touch the flies. So this time around, I did the fly sort. And over the past year, I've accumulated and tried quite a few flies, and I have not spent the time adding them to my fly boxes. So they were, I'll admit it, they were randomly lying around in little plastic containers and things like that, little pill bottles. What's in that one? So I laid out my fly boxes. I reorganized. I took out the flies that I just don't use and probably never will use, and started to swap out the ones. And this, of course, happened because I just got a whole batch of new flies at the Christmas dinner the other night. And these, I mean, they're fantastic looking. I'm like, ooh, that'll work, and ooh, that'll work, that kind of thing. So the sorting began. And the cool thing was I found some that I had really totally forgotten about. Now, what piqued my interest the most? Well, pink, of course. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of pink stuff that I tied myself, as well as the things that I have found in shops. I thought, let's try that one. That's a different shade of pink, more of a cranberry or something. Let's try that one. But purple, what I had really forgotten about was purple. And purple to me is a winter color. I know a lot of people use purple for tarpon year round, but for me, backcountry fishing, purple is my kind of go-to, cold water, cool water fishing. So it's a go-to winter color for me. And I found several purple, and I thought, okay, these are sitting over here in a little box, and they really should be in my fly box right now for going out on the water. They tend to work better in cooler water for me, and that's why I like that bushy stuff better too. I like the ones that have got lots of feathers, a little bit of down, marabou, stuff like that. I call them fuzzy. They're real fuzzy flies. They billow. And when they're in the water and you're moving them through the water, they undulate. They look like they're actually a swimming creature, and I love those things because the more of a profile you can give in colder water, the more apt a fish might turn on it and eat it. So retrieve slowly, they sink slowly, that kind of stuff. I do my best to eliminate eyes and any kind of weight on my flies in the winter. It hits the water, a long pause, let it sink a little bit, then give it a gentle little tug on the line. honestly, if there's going to be a strike, it'll probably most likely happen like right then or within the next 30 seconds or so as you slowly move the fly away from the mangrove area. But getting it light so the sink rate is crazy slow, I have found to be essential. Now, there are times when fish are on the bottom, and there's no doubt when it's really cold. We don't really get that down here. Our water may get down into the mid-60s, but we don't get down to those nasty high 50s and that kind of stuff. Not normally. So that's how I typically fish them. Here's a winter trick. I try moving the fly parallel to the mangrove edge instead of straight in, or straight out away from it, I guess I should say. You cover more shoreline that way, which is where fish like to hang, especially on low tide, sunny days. They'll be in there basking as well as hunting for food. The fish are spread out, though, in the wintertime. They don't all tuck in large. I don't find them in large numbers in one spot in the wintertime. They tend to spread a little bit. And this gives you a better hunting. You can hunt for them better if you go sideways down the mangrove instead of coming away from it. But there's a fairly obvious drawback. A bunch of you are way ahead of me. A big fish grabs it, and you're still up against the bushes, which could be a problem. But as I've often said, I'd rather have a strike than no strike at all. You might wind up having to turn that boat away as fast as possible and head outward away from the mangrove, literally dragging that fish out of there if you're lucky enough. And then I also generally only do this during low tide. At high tide, when water's higher, you know where that fish is going when he strikes. He's going to turn and bolt right into the roots. They don't do that as much. I mean, they try. They don't do that as much on low water because they just can't. There's nowhere to go. They almost have to run out and away. So instead of doing what you would think they do is run into the mangroves, they actually turn and go out to deep water. They run away looking for shelter in the deeper water. And that's to your advantage. That means you get to fight them away from mangroves. So there you go. Here's another tip too. Besides lots of fluff on the fly, I like to make them really, really small for winter fishing, typically 1.5 inches or less in length. Think Crazy Charlies, if you know what that fly looks like. Most people that fish the Keys know what they are. I mean, that is a bonefish special, is the Crazy Charlie, in various different makeups, but it's not even 1 inch long, barely 1 inch in some cases. And that's year-round, by the way, for bonefish. So here's the scoop. Fish, the metabolism of fish, they're cold water. They're a cold water creature. Cold-blooded creature. And their metabolism slows way down in the wintertime because they don't require the energy that they require in summer warm waters. And so as they get colder, they get more lethargic. And while they do eat, they just don't eat as crazy as they do in the summertime. And especially if the water's in the 60s. Even right at the low set, like 70, 71, 72, slows them down a little bit. And so what I like to do is offer them something small that elicits a kind of a no-brainer strike from them. They don't think about it. It's more of an instantaneous, what is that? I'll eat it, bang, that kind of thing. So I downsize. I'll tie flies. Like I said, I remove the heavy weights. I don't want any weight on them. So I won't do any lead wraps or tin wraps, and I won't do eyes unless the eyes are made of plastic, unless they're lightweight plastic eyes. And I keep things really, really small. I also like to change the coloring. I typically go with darker colors, as I mentioned before, like the purple, but the browns, black, things like that. I want a silhouette. I want something that shows up. Water down here in the winter is really, really clear, like drinking water clear. So I want something that looks like something that might slide by in the current. And what happens with most fish is they just elicit this automatic strike when they see something small. It's a nibble. It's a munchie. And they go after it that way. So downsizing is big. I also lower the tackle a little bit. I'll lengthen the leader and the tippet. So I always use a 9-foot. A lot of times in the summer I go with the 7 and then tie the tippet on, the bite tippet on. But in the wintertime I like doing a 9-foot leader and a 3-foot tippet. So I've got 12 feet of line out there, and the tippet I will use typically 20 pound. I know that's dangerous because you're going to get some creatures, the toothy creatures, that they're going to snap your fly right off. But you're going to get that strike. You put too big of a tippet on there, it's going to, they're going to spot it. Let's just put it that way. They're going to see it. The only thing that a long leader and long tippet does that's detrimental, really, is letting the cast unfurl like it's supposed to. Those of you who are familiar with fly fishing, you're basically false casting, behind you and in front of you, and you've got a curl to the line. It's an airplane wing is what it is, to make it travel through the air as efficiently as possible. And what happens is when you increase the length of the leader and the tippet, it won't unfurl properly on the water. When the line settles down onto the water, you want the whole thing to unfold. You don't want it to just drop in the water or wind knot or do something terrible. And it becomes tricky. You have to really understand fly casting. You have to really understand how much power to put into it and where to stop it so that the leader and the tippet will unfold properly. And that way the fly gently falls into the water. You don't want major frickin' splashes, not in clear water. I mean, if you're anywhere near a decent fish and you do that, he's going to run. He's probably not going to strike it. He's going to run away in fear. Now, he might come back and take a look. So I usually hang out after I've done something stupid and try a couple more good casts. But the one thing you're trying to do is lay that fly out so it doesn't make a whole lot of noise. So there you go. I think that pretty much gives you some fly tips. I'm going to do a whole lot more fly fishing this year. I've got more new gear. I've got a lot of new flies. And if I can get this damn wind to lay down, it'll really be fun. I'm the last person on earth that wants to get a fly in the back of the head. And then there's practice. So I can't wait to get back out there. Let's see. It's time for, it is. It's time for useless information.
And now, from the original book of useless information.
You are a reject! You are useless! You can get a job down here cleaning toilets!
Here's your host, Captain Rob Modies.
Well, he swears up and down he's useless, but
he might be all right eventually, but completely useless.
With useless information.
And here we go. Let's see. We're going to start off with Ronald Reagan did a narration at the 1947 Academy Awards ceremony. Dang. The second unit in films, in movie films, shots, they do the shots that require no presence of actors. So that's the second unit. I did not know that. You always see that in the credits, but I didn't know. Second unit. Okay, gotcha. No actors involved. Alfred Hitchcock never won an Academy Award for directing. That shocks me. The Academy Award statue is named after a librarian's uncle. One day, Margaret Herrick, librarian for the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, made the remark that the statue looked like her Uncle Oscar, and the name stuck. And so there you go. I'm starting to think that useless information isn't really all that useless. I'm going to have to try harder, I guess. Before I go, here's some final words for you. One more week to one of my favorite days of the year. I really enjoy Christmas. I get to talk to my girls in their faraway places. Man, they are far away now. And I look forward to that. I'm going to get to eat good food. I'm going to drink good drink. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm a freak about eggnog with rum. Yum. And I'm going to do my best to thoroughly enjoy the next few weeks of the Christmas holiday season. Oh, and presents under the tree. Yes, that's good too. Take care, and I'll talk to you all later. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed listening, please tell a friend, leave a review, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The Facebook page is Catch Ya Outdoors. The website is catchaoutdoors.com, where you can find all the previous podcasts and news about books and my music. Until next time, get outdoors and enjoy.